Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the part of the chapter 3 history, the Delhi Sultans. In the last audio video, we discussed about how Delhi became the capital of a kingdom under the Tomara Rajputs. It was only under the rule of the Tomaras and Chauhans that Delhi flourished as an important commercial center. और इस city में बहुत सारे अमीर मर्चेंट्स रहते थे जिन्होंने बहुत सारे टेम्पल्स बनवाए और उस टाइम पे जो करेंसी सर्कुलेशन में रहती थी उसका नाम था ढालीवाल. सो दिल्ली सुल्तनत played the most vital role in the transformation of Delhi into a capital which controlled vast areas of the subcontinent. Then we talked about the Tariq. So Tariq के बारे में हमने बात किया था. So Tariq was written by a learned men, secretaries, administrators, poets, and courtiers, so who lived in cities, mainly Delhi. They were written for the sultans with an anticipation of rich rewards. So they were also advised rulers on governance and other administrative activities, and they wanted that the society should be ruled in a proper, just manner based on birthright and gender distinction. So we talked about the Razia Sultan, the daughter of Iltutmish, became the Sultan of Delhi in 1236, but she was dethroned in 1240. Yes, then we discussed about the garrison towns and hinterlands. So in the early 13th century, there were no significant expansion of Delhi beyond heavily fortified town occupied by garrisons. So it was only during the reigns of Ghazuddin Balban, Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad Tughlaq that Delhi saw expansion for the first time. Yes, now let's talk about the administration under the Delhi Sultans. Hanji students, let's understand certain terms before starting the discussion how the administration works under the Delhi Sultans. Now first of all we'll discuss Bandagan. So means slaves purchased for military service by Delhi Sultans. So इक्ता कौन होते हैं? खलजीज एंड तुगलक क्या करते थे? अपॉइंट करते थे मिलिट्री कमांडर्स को एज गवर्नर्स ऑफ टेरिटरीज ऑफ वेरिंग साइजेस, और इस लैंड को दीज लैंड्स यू कैन से वर कॉल्ड इक्तास, मुक्तीस. सो द होल्डर ऑफ इक्ता वॉज कॉल्ड मुक्ति. Yes, students, let's discuss the functions of Muktis. So first of all, they led military campaigns. Secondly, they maintained law and order in their iktas. And thirdly, they collected revenue from their iktas and paid salary to their soldiers from these revenues. और जो ये revenue collect करते थे उन्हीं से उनकी salaries दी जाती थी. And moreover, Muktis were responsible for leading their military campaigns and maintaining their iktas. So accountants were appointed by the state to check the amount of revenue collected by Muktis. They were not allowed to collect revenue more than that prescribed by the state, nor were they allowed to keep soldiers more than the number prescribed by the state. Hanji students, let's discuss about the steps taken to ensure that Muktis perform their duties. Now, as you know, Delhi Sultans had a complete control over the hinterland of the cities, and so the Samanta aristocrats were forced to accept their authority. During Alauddin Khilji's regime, the state brought the assessment and collection of land revenue under its control. So their office was not made hereditary. They were assigned iktas, land as salaries for a short period of time before being transferred. So उनकी जो सैलरीज थी उन्हें लैंड के रूप में दी जाती थी फॉर अ शॉर्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. एंड मोर ओवर अकाउंटेंट्स वर अपॉइंटेड टू चेक द अमाउंट ऑफ रेवेन्यू कलेक्टेड बाय द मुक्तीज. सो अकाउंटेंट्स को भी ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दी जाती थी कि वो रेवेन्यू इकट्ठा किया हुआ चेक करें. सो द केयर वॉज टेकन that the Mukti collect only the taxes, only that much taxes which were prescribed by the state, जो कि state द्वारा लागू किया गया है, and that he kept the required number of soldiers. Let's discuss one question. How did the sultans control and consolidate such a vast kingdom? जो सुल्तान्स थे वो इतनी वास्ट किंगडम को कैसे कंट्रोल करते थे, इतनी बड़ी किंगडम को कैसे कंट्रोल करते थे? नंबर वन, द कंसोलिडेशन एंड कंट्रोल ऑफ अ वास्ट किंगडम्स नीड्स, किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत होती थी उन्हें किंगडम को कंट्रोल करने की? रिलायबल गवर्नर्स की और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स की. सेकेंडली, द अर्ली दिल्ली सुल्तान्स ट्रेंड स्पेशल स्लेव्स called बंदगन इन पर्शियन who were purchased for military services, जिनको कि उन स्लेव्स को मिलिट्री सर्विसेज के लिए परचेज किया जाता था. दे वर ट्रेंड, उन्हें ट्रेनिंग भी किस चीज़ की दी जाती थी? टू होल्ड इम्पॉर्टेंट पोलिटिकल ऑफिसेस. एंड मिलिट्री कमांडर्स वर अपॉइंटेड एज गवर्नर्स ऑफ टेरिटरी ऑफ वेरिंग साइजेस एज इक्तास. सो जो होल्डर्स होते थे इक्तास के वर कॉल्ड, उनको क्या कहा जाता था? इक्तादर और मुक्तिस. सो दे वर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर लीडिंग मिलिट्री कैंपेन्स, मेंटेनिंग लॉ एंड ऑर्डर इन इक्तास. वो प्रॉपर लॉ और ऑर्डर बना के रखते थे अपने अपने इक्तास में. एंड फॉर कलेक्टिंग रेवेन्यू, और कर रेवेन्यू कलेक्ट करने के लिए इन ल्यू ऑफ देयर ड्यूटीज़ एंड सर्विसेज. सो उसके बाद आते थे हमारे अकाउंटेंट्स. दे वर अपॉइंटेड बाय द स्टेट टू चेक द अमाउंट ऑफ रेवेन्यू कलेक्टेड बाय मुक्तिस. वो सारा कुछ चेक करते थे कि कितना रेवेन्यू उन्होंने कलेक्ट किया है. अंडर अलाउद्दीन खिलजी द स्टेट ब्रॉट द असेसमेंट एंड कलेक्शन ऑफ लैंड रेवेन्यू अंडर इट्स कंट्रोल. Now students, three types of taxes collected under Alauddin Khilji. Number one, Kharaj tax, that is 50% of the produce cattle tax, and house tax. Here students, let's talk about the impact of the Mughal invasions on the Delhi Sultanate. अब क्या हुआ बेटे, जो नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न पार्ट था ईरान का, जिसे कि हम उसका ओल्ड नेम में कह रहे थे सेंट्रल एशिया, वॉज इन्वेटेड बाय द मंगोल्स. मंगोल्स ने उसे जीत लिया अंडर द चंगेज़ खान इन द ईयर 1219. सून आफ्टर दे अटैक द दिल्ली सल्तनत. उसके बाद उन्होंने जल्दी ही दिल्ली सल्तनत पर अटैक कर दिया. ड्यूरिंग द रेन ऑफ अलाउद्दीन खिलजी द अर्ली period of Muhammad Tughlaq, there was an increase in the attack of the Delhi Sultanate. So उसके बाद क्या हुआ? Consequently they had to mobilize a large standing army in Delhi which posed a huge administrative channel. Now let's talk about हाँ जी students, let's talk about how Khilji and Tughlaq dealt with Mongol invasion. So first of all, if we talk about Alauddin Khilji, Delhi was attacked twice. He raised a long-standing army. He constructed a new garrison town named Siri for his soldiers for the protection purpose. And if we talk about Muhammad Tughlaq, he raised a long-standing army and was confident about the strength of his army. उसे भरोसा था उसकी आर्मी पे. Soldiers garrisoned in the oldest of the four cities of Delhi named Delhi Khana after emptying it of its residents. The residents were sent to the new capital. उन्हें दौलताबाद में भेज दिया गया in the south. So next point regarding the Alauddin Khilji, he had a successful administration and gained praise from chronicles for cheap prices and efficient supplies of goods in the market. He withstood the threat of Mongol invasion. His measures were defensive. And if we talk about Muhammad Tughlaq, his administrative methods were a failure here. So his campaign into Kashmir was a disaster, after which he decided not to invade and disband his large army. His measures were offensive. Now let's talk about who ruled Delhi after Khiljis and Tughlaqs. Then comes Sayyid dynasty, Lodi dynasty, end of Delhi Sultanate. After that, Mughal dynasty came into being, Sur Empire, and then Humayun Akbar. Yes, students, what is a mosque called in Arabic? It is called a masjid. Now, what is called the Qibla? So, it is the direction towards which Muslims turn while offering prayer or namaz. Now, let's talk about the several mosques were built by the Delhi Sultans in cities all over the subcontinent. Some important were the Qawat Al-Islam Mosque, then Begumpuri Mosque, then Mut Ki Masjid, then Mosque of Kamale. So they built by Qutbuddin Aibak and Iltutmish, then enlarged by Iltutmish and Alauddin Khilji. Then if we talk about Begumpuri Mosque, they built in the reign of Muhammad Tughlaq, the main mosque of Chanpat, the sanctuary of the world. So next, Mut Ki Masjid. It was built in the reign of Sikandar Lodi by his minister. Then if we talk about the mosque of Kamale, built in the late 1520s. Yes, students, let's talk about the brief account of travelers Ibn Battuta. So, in the 14th century, traveler Ibn Battuta from Morocco, that is in Africa, explained that chieftains sometimes fortified themselves in mountains, rocky and uneven places as well as in bamboo groves. वो अपने आप को वहाँ पर सुरक्षित छुपा लेते थे. The bamboos in India are big and so intertwined that even fire cannot affect them. So the chieftains lived inside these and had their cattle and crops along inside these. So water was also available for them in the form of collected rain water. जितनी भी रेन होती थी वो उसे कलेक्ट कर लेते थे और जो वो पानी यूज़ करते थे वो किसके रूप में होता था, कलेक्टेड रेन वाटर के रूप में होता था. हैंस इट वाज वेरी टफ टू सबड्यू देम. उन्हें ढूंढना बहुत मुश्किल था एक्सेप्ट बाय स्ट्रॉन्ग आर्मीज़. उसके अलावा अगर बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग आर्मीज़ आ जाए तो वो इन्हें ढूंढ पाती थी, आम इंसान उन्हें नहीं ढूंढ पाते थे. हु कट दीज बैम्बूज, वो स्ट्रॉन्ग आर्मीज कौन सी थी जो वो सारे बैम्बू ट्रीज़ को काट देती थी ऑन एंटरिंग दीज फॉरेस्ट सो डैट कि वो इनका पता लगा सकें. लेट्स सी द पिक्चर ऑफ बैम्बू ग्रूव्स.